finished listening to Esther Hicks, and she was really blowing my mind, if you will. So, hello, good morning, everybody. It's Wednesday, April 26th, and I'm so excited to be here. I'm here with my friend Misty, and God, we go way back, sort of, in a kind of a cool way. So the description, Misty, so you know, because you can't see it on my end, is writing or writing, because they sound a lot. When like sometimes when I'm like, oh, I was writing the other day, and they're like, riding a book or riding a horse. So, and it was tying back into the conversation we had earlier about like, it's not about writing about dragons or writing about horses or writing about this. And it's not even about riding, like riding the horse. It's really more about what? And you really tapped into that. So, it was not about the dragon or the fantasy or the book or the topic or the whatever. It's about the passion.
Yes.
And I was listening to Esther Hicks on the way home from my walk, and she said the same thing. So everything is vibration and everything is energy. So, Misty, welcome to my tribe, and we're going to be talking to your tribe too. But we got a couple of really cool synergistic things that we're working on together. So I want to share a little bit. You just showed me two really cool things. So tell me what you got going on, and
Well,
because we do two things, very unique things that a lot of people and they're on their bucket list wish they could do. They're like, it's always been a dream of mine too, what Misty does and what I do. So that's kind of cool. So tell me a little bit about what you're up to.
I am. So Campground TBD is my passion right now, publishing at Campground TBD Publishing. And that's one of the projects you and I worked on last summer together. And I've got a book coming out tomorrow, which will be a solo project that I'll be posting the links for in the morning. And then I've got some anthologies coming out later this year. And really, right now, I'm working on building out my campground here in Western Arkansas so people can come here, unplug for a few days, just reconnect, whether it's to write for publishing or just to write through something or to a goal, just where they have that space to come here and ground. And whether we feed them body, mind, and or soul, we've got it all here. So that's what I'm working on. And then you and I start talking. I want to tell you, unplanned, this blanket is, yes. And my water right around the corner is my cup you gave me 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so those viewing don't know, I live in 160 square feet, or 116 by 12, so 190 square feet house. I have minimalized to the point of ridiculousn's,
That's
and I
awesome.
still have your blanket and your Yeti cup that you gave me 5 years ago. So that means you give really great swag at your retreats. Yes.
Exactly.
And mine, it has been beat up, run over, and it's still my cup. It's moved with me over 30 times.
That's
So
amazing. That's
yeah,
amazing.
props to you on your retreats.
Thank you. And I got my tank top on. You see, you
Uh-huh.
love your tank top. That was such an incredible experience to come and be on site. Hands on the horses, and so visualize it. So you guys who are watching, this is why like this magic between Misty and I has sort of come back full circle, is because imagine being like in nature. And that's what we're all so much craving these days. I spend a lot of time with my ring light in my face, sharing the importance of being out with nature, because when I'm not here, guess where I am? I'm in nature, experiencing how incredible that is. And whether you're riding or you're writing, getting into a space where you can feel grounded and supported and energetically aligned, and stepping into like what Esther Hicks calls the vortex, and what Dr. Joe calls the quantum, and what Tony, whatever it is, what, and musicians call it being in the pocket, and and athletes call being in the zone. But when you're in that zone, you're in that zone of genius. It comes so much more naturally when you're out in nature, and when you're around like animals, and horses are specifically what I've been working on, like tapping into the spirit of horses and how they can help you heal through and teach you leadership skills. And Misty, I'd love to hear like what a little bit about what you still to this day, after 2018,
Yes.
we came and experienced this. So tell us a little bit about like how it has carried over into like the longevity of your life. It's like so incredible. And
It's
if you're on
interesting.
listening, make sure you comment so we know that you're here.
Yeah. So I'll tell you, I'm getting a little emotional. Like I can feel it welling in me to think about this. So number one, I do have my tank top. I saw it in the last 3 days because I just relocated to the smaller cabin. I use it as a night dress because I've lost probably 100 pounds since then.
I was
So,
thinking at least that.
so
You look
that was
amazing.
that was where, and I don't want to give away the whole. Everyone gets a different experience there, so you won't get the same thing I got. But for me, what I got from Maverick, your horse, was that it wasn't about trusting the man, it was about trusting me around the masculine energy. And but when you told me that on day one, I was like, this lady is crazy. So just get through it so I can mark off that I did the horse thing. And then next week we're gonna go to this other thing with Tony. So I remember the first picture I have is me touching your white horse like this, like, okay, I touched a horse. And then I have a picture of me laying on Maverick at the end,
Yeah.
and so that for me was a really pivotal place where I began to have a different way of responding with masculine energy. I didn't know you were going to ask me this question. So that the vortex and then the flow that day and that week meeting you, there are still pieces in my tangible world that I use daily, interestingly. And so that
Mhm.
energy is with me. And I'm looking over at that. I left you. I also sampled this at an event right after that. I'm still using that day. So it's really interesting how many things in that flow I picked up. I also got to sample a lot of other stuff along the way and go, you know what, that's not for me. And so this is where this brings it all back home to you and I. You and I have what I call a tiny overlap. Our
Yes.
worlds are so vastly different, but
Yes.
where we overlap is so powerful that none of the rest matters because our passion is what we support of each other. Whether
Agreed.
you and I both use essential oils, but whether you want to use essential oils or burning, what I don't, if
Doesn't
you're
matter.
passionate about it, I know because I'm coveting your holders right now because I don't have that kind of space for wall space right now.
I'm like you though with the minimalist. I'm like, if you give me something, I have to like find something to get rid of.
Yeah,
I'm like
exactly.
one in, one out, man. I have really dialed it in. And this is like you can see I've got like four of the beautiful shelves, but like this is like taking up all my wall space.
Exactly.
Just
Well, and
I'm
in the
like you.
A-frame,
I'm
I
like,
don't have wall space anymore, so I went to these like little zipper bags. But anyway, it's
yeah,
interesting
yeah,
what we keep with us and the energy of how what's important to us.
correct.
And we have kept that tiny overlap as an important enough token that I kept the blankets. I mean, I've had other good blankets, but it was our resonance that was important to me
It's
to
so
hang on
funny.
to
And I
this.
know that you
So
went to a Tony Robbins event with that blanket. And if you take anything to a Tony event, it does not generally survive. So,
this, this thing
and
has been through so much.
I
Actually,
remember intentionally because that weekend was before Date with Destiny. I got those blankets intentionally. I like the
so we
size,
could.
so you could stuff it in a bag and you could still cover your lap because it's freaking freezing in a Tony event.
Yeah,
So
it's
I was very
beautiful. Even
mindful.
it's got a lot of war injuries, but it's funny. It's because of our resonance. Like I said, it's not just the fact that it's a cool blanket. It's that that moment meant enough to me that that stays with me, and that's why we drive each other is because we make sure we keep that tiny overlap.
To keep that, yes, to keep and then keep and it's like I was watching a thing recently. It was from a Buddhist monk actually, and he was talking about friendship, and he was like, friendships aren't because you keep in touch and you like always you don't talk to every day. It's not because they change; it's actually because they don't change. It's because we haven't spoken, and we could go. You ever have that friend that you haven't talked to in 6 months, and you pick up the phone, and you're like you've never like that's how our
Hmm.
conversations are. And we're like, oh yeah, and oh by the way, living in Madagascar now. Oh, I didn't know that. And then you just kind of keep going. And that's the cool thing about this. And what we're talking about is really cool because last year, two things that are really powerful. If you're watching this, is that Misty and I are in the same business. We help people realize their dreams and help them further their passions. And there are two things that are on a lot of people's bucket lists that they don't necessarily get to do because it's too big, literally, when in my world, and figuratively in yours. Like writing a book is like this big elephant, and that people are like, oh yeah, I one of these days I want to write a book. Well, there's a book inside you, Every single person on the planet has a book inside them and an idea inside them. And Jamie Kern Lima said it really best. He says, she's like, you extroverts out there hiding in plain sight. And I was like, that's me. And as I'm like in the back of the room, like huddled up, just trying to get the information and not be seen by
Mhm.
anybody, you know? And then, you know, so you don't really, and then Sarah Blakely says the same thing. She's like, you know, don't let the dream die inside, and don't let the message die inside, because you don't know who could actually benefit from your message. And for me, with my vehicle of using horses, and you as your vehicle of providing a platform for people to have a safe space to get their feet wet. And that's what I love about what you're doing. It's like, look, I've got a physical container. If you want to come out to somewhere kind of in the middle of nowhere, to be in the middle of somewhere, because these messages, these books, these things, when I went to write my part of the book for you, you know how long it took me? It like took me maybe an hour and a half, because I went and I played with my horses. Then I went and I sat down in a quiet space and turned my everything on do not disturb. And then I just wrote it, and it came out and it flowed. It was, you know, it was very, very easy to do. And to get into the flow of being able to do that is really cool. And like what you were talking about, it coming out with the horses, you're like, all right, I touched a horse off my bucket list. But to actually come in and experience them. I remember you're at the end of the barn, like taking a selfie, like the horses are over there and I'm over here. It's just safe to post on Instagram. And then the funny thing is that she walked down to the end of the barn, and I have this little tiny, tiny horse named Tuesday. She's like I could put her in the back seat of my car. She's so little. And Misty went up to pet Tuesday, and she's like, this horse is going to bite me. Sure enough, horse bites her. Not bad, like nibbles her, but still like, hey. And Tuesday's like, she like smegly. He's like, and Missy's like, yeah, I knew you were going to bite me. Now, did you manifest the bite, or did you just knew it was coming? You know, it's like,
Right.
first the chicken or the egg. So I remember that. I was like, oh shit, she's afraid of horses, and my littlest horse just bit her.
Yeah. Well, and then the next horse was doing that. Maverick was doing that, like that thing with his lips. I was like,
Yeah.
they all hate me. Oh my gosh. But it was my energy, 100%. I can tell now after that, which I thought was when you said that in the beginning, I was like, okay, lady. But at the end, it was 100% the energy. You could tell if someone in the room changed, you could feel the horses change. It was very interesting to watch that happen. And
With
what
Maverick.
I love,
Go ahead.
and you talked about it, and I talked that safe space. And so I'm not here to just pat your back, but that's the same way. Like you said, we're so overlapped there, because people come to me wanting to write their entire life memoirs. Okay, but how about we just start with a little something? Let's just get your feet wet. And so you didn't try to get me roping and writing on day one. You let me just walk around and look at look around and take pictures. So you made it very safe for me to go into something that I didn't want to. And a lot of us at this point, we don't like to be unknowing.
Yes.
People kind of look at me. I mean, not that I'm great, but I'm here. So they go, oh, she's got herself together here. So it's kind of hard to go, except for I have no clue what we're doing here. And so when I came to you, it was really easy for me to go, I have no idea what you're talking about. So start from the beginning. And you did. Right. So I appreciate that. And I hope that's what I offer to the authors as well.
And it was like, because there were so many things, and even with this small, my small contribution to, because you're like the duck. I had no idea what was going on underneath the waters on your end, like any more than you knew what was going on my end. Because like at those retreats, when I'm throwing out a retreat, I don't sleep, man. I do not sleep. I'm thinking about every single one of the participants. I'm thinking about what we need to do, how we need to perform, who needs to show up, which horse is going to be there. And oh, by the way, let's put people out there that know nothing about horses into a ring with these 1,200-pound animals, So there's a big safety piece to it, in play as well. But I have to say, knock on wood, in almost 20 years of doing these and being around horses, I have never had anyone get injured or hurt or like anything with any of my horses ever, not once. I think the worst was, Trace bonked a lady on her head with his nose. I mean, that's been the worst of it in 20 years. And that's saying something, because horses, let's face it, they can go 45 miles an hour. They can turn on a dime, and they have sharp hooves, and they are powerful animals. And they can really do some damage. So to
And
know
it speaks to how you treat them as well, because you were very clear with us that if if Misty, if you can't get yourself together, you cannot go in the stall. Like
correct.
you were very clear, like Misty had to get herself together before she could be around the horses. So I think that speaks to how do you treat your animals as well.
And they appreciate that too, because and when you look at how you treat the horses, like don't think that's not how you're not showing up in your other relationships. That's how you're
Hmm.
showing up in your life at work. That's why, and you wonder why people betray you or lie to you or treat you poorly or you attract the wrong. That I gotta, why do we keep attracting narcissists? Well, let's dial this back. Did you go into the stall before you were ready? Because the horse is not going to show up as a narcissist if you don't show up as bait for one.
You're
You
right.
know, it's so true. And narcissist is actually probably going to be Merriam-Webster's word of the year. It's used so often. Last year it was gaslighting. So many people are out there talking about things like isolation and learned helplessness and boundaries and victimhood and gaslighting and narcissists. It's like, don't go in the fucking stall, guys. Sorry, pardon my language, but don't go in the stall.
And that's the thing, that's where we have the opportunity to stand up and kind of be an example. And sometimes it's not a comfortable example, but sometimes I'm not going in your stall. I love you, and I'm also not coming into your stall. And if you want to stand at your stall and say anything you want to say as a grown adult, you're most welcome to do that. And sometimes that can be perceived as me being harsh or selfish. And
Standoffish.
I am okay being an example of, no, I'm simply showing you that I'm not going to go into that stall and argue with you in your stall.
Exactly. I'm
So,
not going to go
it,
in and argue with you. I almost got pulled into somebody's conversation this morning. They were baiting me, and they were like, and because they, here we go, guys. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Right. And this goes back into the relationship labyrinth. I don't know if you remember that from the retreat, but it goes all the way back to the relationship labyrinth. When you step in and somebody crosses your boundaries or betrays you or lies to you or kicks you around or some kind of other, chorus from a country song, ask yourself, did you allow yourself to get pulled into their vibrational state?
mhm.
And if you did, what was allowing you to do that in the first place? What secondary gain do you feel like you were doing, or was it just so innate and second nature to you that you're like, oh my god, how did I even end up here? And you don't even have awareness. And that's what happens with the horses a lot of times. It's not even about whether or not you're afraid. It's about whether or not you have awareness as to what's actually happening in the moment, because horses live in the moment, and they will if they're going to kick you or are going to bite you or whatever, you could, there's so many things. Missy, could one of my horses kick you right now? No, you're in freaking Arkansas, right? So,
Yeah.
and I show that magic equation when people go up to Dante's stall. Now he's kind of getting older, and that'll make me cry a little bit because I've had him since he was 4 years old. I've had him for God almost 19 years now. Him and Trace both. I've had them since they were 4 years old. And when people go up to the barn, even to this day, he's 22 years old, and which horses live to be about 30, 35 years old. So anyway, you go into the stall and you go up there, and Dante, he's like, hey, how you doing? Huh? What's going on? Hey,
Yeah.
let's have some beer. And you're like, whoa, but people stand there and take his crap, right? Like, I'm like, if he's going to bite you, if you move a foot that way, he can't reach you. So why do we stay in these circumstances, situations, relationships, and then blame the other person? That's what we do. We blame who bit the human? The horse did, right? Well, who was standing close enough to get bit by the horse or
Right.
kicked by
The
the horse?
human. The
Right. And
human.
so there's a balance there, and it's very tenuous, because when you start blaming and saying, oh, well, Dante, Jen's horse bit me, which, okay. I say ouch, and then I get smarter.
Right.
Here's the thing when it comes to the pendulum, though. If you get bit enough times because you don't know how to have awareness, and you don't know have the skills and tools, and you don't do the work that people like Misty and myself have done over the years, something bad happens. You go, you know what? I'm not going to trust anybody anymore. I'm going to go isolate myself. And it really comes down to the fact that you don't trust yourself to make good decisions.
And I have a theory on how it gets easier to trust. And of course, that goes back to my writing is most of us, I had not done this. I had not fully imagined and stepped into what a life would look like if I could trust everyone in my life. So my story
Mm.
almost required that I be on the lookout. If you say I met someone, I say, where did you meet? I already am looking for the antitrust. And so I
Ooh.
really had to consciously go, okay, what does it look like if you are living your life trusting that the house you buy is the right one? You know, there are things I'm manifesting now because I took the time to write what would it look like if I didn't have that particular story. And I hadn't done that before. And that helped
Right.
me trust myself
Yes.
to look at a scenario and go, oh yeah, that's a little too close to the stall, but this is safe. This is
He
safe
cares
right here.
for me.
Yes, yes. Because normally what I had done in the past was I had said, well, let me explain it to this one more time. I'm going to come up to the stall this time from the right. Oh, he bit me. Okay. Let me come up this time from the left. Oh, he bit me. Okay, now I'm going to yell at him while I come at him and say, I can't believe you have bit me. And this is when the whole time he's like, I'm a horse. I've been a horse since the day you met me.
Yes.
You have control of the stall. And
Yes.
but Misty wanted to keep note. If I explain it to you in a little bit different way, I think you'll then understand
Yes.
why my story must be true.
Exactly. And it's so funny you say that because we go into and ladies, if you're watching, if you go into a relationship with a man with that mentality, you will lose. You will do one of two things. You will either control him and feel safe, which will emasculate him, and he will either turn into the woman and you will turn into the man, or he will leave you because he is actually a man and will not tolerate being controlled, or you'll turn yourself into the victim and wonder why you attracted a narcissist. So to have that balance and to be able to go home, and I learned all of this from horses, you guys. I learned all of this from Dante and Maverick. And to watch Misty at the beginning, like, hi, the barn's over there, but I'm here and I've got the picture, to like trusting Maverick. Now let's put something into perspective. Something I didn't tell her till after the fact. She was only the second person to ride him after he'd been rehabilitated. And that meant the guy from Sweden. Do you remember Manuel Timame? He was from Sweden. He came and rode. He was the first person to ride Maverick.
I think, yeah, I was gonna say, I think I remember telling about that.
Yeah. And so you were only the second person ever to get on his back after he had been violent at the racetrack and professional riders. He was flipping over on top and on professional jockey riders. And then he comes to my barn. I put one ride on him. Gail, my assistant, put 3 rides on him. And you were ride number 5. I mean, like, come on. After 9 months of like doing nothing with him. And I had full faith that he was going to take care of you.
And he so chose me. I mean, it wasn't, and for anyone watching, she didn't assign me to a dangerous horse. He specifically walked directly over to me and was like, hey, lady, let's try this. It was really interesting to watch,
Yes.
especially for someone that had absolute doubt. I was simply going it literally just to mark it off my bucket list.
Yeah.
And so, but it really did change things for me.
Because how we even connected was sort of, oh, I messaged you and you thought I was ISIS. It was such a weird thing because I don't normally just like cold message people, because this is such an intimate experience. And I protect my horse's energies, which we're going to get to. So, so how you even ended up in Florida at my place was just totally serendipitous, like most people that end up in person with me with the horses. And that brings me to kind of like, can I share what I'm going to be doing? I guess this is my platform. I can share whatever the hell I want. So I've got found a property, and I think she's just on Marisa Federation. She's on, and I found a property, and so I'm doing a fire sale and a weekend getaway to help me get into this place. So I'm going to share the flyer in the comments. So if you want to come and spend a weekend getaway with me, I'm having 12 ladies, and we're going to be in Florida, and we're going to be doing this probably as soon as I get in. We'll have a couple of different dates, so don't worry about dates. If you do want to do this, don't worry. I will take care of you. I promise. you will be able to come out and spend a weekend with me and actually be on site with the horses here in West Palm Beach, Florida. And I'm looking for, I need $12,000 to get into the property. So I need 12 ladies. I already have a couple of people signed up. And if anyone is interested, please reach out to me. And if you want to ask, like, if you're like, I'm not really sure what this is, talk to Misty. She'll tell you about the experience and give you some insights about like what we actually do. Because everybody's like, I went to Jen's place for a week and I still have no idea what we did. But I've lost 100 pounds. I've decided to start my own business and I left my husband. You know, I mean, shit happens when you come to my place. It's kind of magic. And
that's the best part of it, is you don't feel like you went to an instructional. I feel like I went on a vacation in the woods and I came back. I had really powerful meditations there. We had incredible, like, you know, the conversations were amazing. The just walking around and spending time out in nature was amazing. So I know that we learned things, and I remember us talking structured, and the whiteboards when you're explaining, you know, the relationship thing. So obviously there was information coming to me, but it never, ever felt like that. So that was for Misty's mentality, that was a beautiful way, because I didn't feel like I was just going to like, oh, what is she trying to teach me about horses? Right. I really felt like I was on a vacation where by being there, I really learned a lot.
Absolutely. And it was very cool to have that experience. And it is very organic. You know, and then when the pandemic hit, I took all of the programs and took the best of everything I offer at my retreats from an informational perspective and created a virtual system around it and a university to learn all of this stuff before you even come on site. So it's really going to be exciting because this weekend, the weekend experience is going to be probably like one in June and one in the fall. We'll keep doing them until everybody that helps contribute to the new farm and the new home for the horses gets an opportunity to come out. That is my commitment. That's my integrity. So we're going to share that. I'm trying to see if I can't share my little flyer here. It doesn't want to let me, but I'll definitely be posting about that. And if you're interested in coming and spending a weekend with horses for pennies of what I normally charge, because then just drop me a message and we're going to have an amazing time. And if you can't, but you still want to contribute, I will find a way to give you a really, really great value exchange to one of my masterminds or a private experience or something, because this is so profound and these horses need to be home. So I need help getting into their home, and I want to give something really, really incredible in return in a form of an experience with Maverick, like what Misty had, and at
a great value. That's a great price.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. It's usually 3 times that, but I'm definitely going to be. So I already have people signing up. I've been reaching out. I'm doing the private invitations between now and the end of April. I know this will fill up like super fast. So I'm going to share the flyer here somehow once I figure that out, because I think I have it in it says PNG. I don't know why it's not letting me post, but I'll make sure you guys get the information. It's going to be really incredible. And we're going to have, I'm calling it pajamas and ponies, like a pajama party with ponies. It'll be fun. It'll be a great time. So Misty, any other last insights that you'd like to share before we hop off? Because
I just want to remind everyone that you wrote with me in Here Comes the Sun, which is available. If you want to contact her directly, she can get you an autographed copy. It's also on Amazon. I have a book coming out tomorrow on Amazon, so I'll be posting that on my page and sharing links, and I'll let everyone know about that. And other than that, I thank you for this. Thanks for handling the technology. That's not my specialty out in the woods right now. So I appreciate you.
I wish I wasn't, but I'm good. I had to learn the hard way. I got good at technology pretty quick. So for whatever reason, I can't figure out how to share my damn flyer, but I'll get that.
It'll be there. Yep. It's okay. That's perfect timing.
It's all good. And we'll see everyone here very soon. Maurice, thanks for jumping on and appreciate your comments. Hopefully you can contribute or join. Even if you can't come down in person, don't worry. Everybody will get something that's the value exchange, because the whole point is to help these horses get home. And I found a facility. It's phenomenal. It's perfect. It's absolutely right down the street from where I am. It's been very challenging for me to be here in South Florida. I've had a lot of challenges that I've hit. I guess the universe is like, you sure you want to be here? And it's really like, no, you need to get your own place, because you don't play nice in the sandbox with other people and their horses, because other people with their horses don't have the energetic respect for them that I do. And that drives me bananas. So I appreciate you, Misty. And we'll be talking soon again about some upcoming projects that Misty has. So if you want to come riding horses with me or writing with Misty, definitely some dreams can be realized through those two modalities, because they're both very, very profound. So Thanks for tuning in, Misty. Thanks for joining me, and we'll catch you next time.
Yes. Thanks, Jen. Thanks, Marisa. It was good to hear that you were here.
Bye.
Bye.